When news broke about Barron Trump's incredible act of kindness, it quickly became the talk of the town. The story, which touched the hearts of millions, wasn't about politics or wealth. It was about pure generosity and appreciation for someone who had been quietly making a difference every single day. Barron Trump, the youngest son of former President Donald Trump, has always been known to keep a low profile. Unlike his father and older siblings, Barron rarely steps into the public eye, and when he does, it's often with grace and composure. But this time, his name made headlines for a reason that had nothing to do with his family's legacy. This was all about his character. It all started at his high school, where Barron had been completing his senior year. Like most students, he walked the same halls every day, attended classes, and spent time with friends. But one thing that set him apart was his keen sense of awareness. He noticed the hard work of those around him, especially one person in particular, the school janitor, Mr. Rodriguez. Mr. Rodriguez wasn't just a janitor. He was the heart and soul of the school. For over 2 decades, he had been keeping the hallways clean, ensuring classrooms were spotless, and even offering words of encouragement to students. Rain or shine, he was there, picking up after students, fixing broken lockers, and greeting everyone with a warm smile. But what many didn't know was that Mr. Rodriguez had been struggling. He had been commuting to work in an old, worn-out car that barely made it from one day to the next. The repairs were endless, and the cost of keeping it running was starting to take a toll on him. Yet despite his struggles, he never let his challenges affect his work or his attitude. Barron, who had observed Mr. Rodriguez's unwavering dedication, decided he wanted to do something special for him. After hearing about the janitor's car troubles from a teacher, Barron came up with an idea that would change Mr. Rodriguez's life forever. One afternoon, after school had ended and most students had gone home, Barron approached his father with a heartfelt request. He wanted to buy Mr. Rodriguez a brand new SUV, a reliable vehicle that would ease his daily struggles and serve as a token of gratitude for years of hard work. Donald Trump, known for his business acumen and strong opinions, was taken aback by his son's request. But more than that, he was proud. He saw the sincerity in Barron's eyes and knew this wasn't about making a grand gesture. It was about truly helping someone in need. Without hesitation, he agreed to support his son's plan. A few days later, the perfect SUV was chosen, reliable, spacious, and built to last. But the most touching part was that Barron wanted to personally deliver it to Mr. Rodriguez himself. He wanted to see the reaction firsthand and make sure the janitor knew just how much he was appreciated. Janitor day arrived. The school parking lot was nearly empty when Mr. Rodriguez was called outside, completely unaware of what was about to happen. As he stepped out, he saw Barron standing next to a sleek, brand-new SUV, the keys in his hand. Confused at first, Mr. Rodriguez looked around, unsure of what was going on. That's when Barron spoke up. "Mr. Rodriguez, we've all seen how hard you work, and we appreciate everything you do for this school. I know you've been having trouble with your car, and I just wanted to say thank you in a way that would actually help." For a moment, there was silence. Then, as the realization sank in, tears welled up in Mr. Rodriguez's eyes. He covered, his face overwhelmed with emotion. Never in his wildest dreams had he imagined such a gift, especially from a student. The moment was powerful. Teachers who had gathered around wiped away tears, students who had stayed behind clapped, and even the usually quiet Barron looked emotional. Mr. Rodriguez, still in shock, finally found his words. "I don't know what to say. I've never received anything like this in my life." Barron simply smiled. "You don't have to say anything. You deserve it." The janitor walked over, still shaking, and embraced Barron, a hug filled with gratitude, respect, and disbelief. It was a moment that proved kindness knows no status, no background, no politics, just pure human connection. The story quickly spread beyond the school walls. Parents, students, and teachers shared the heartwarming gesture on social media, and within hours, it had gone viral. News outlets picked it up, and people across the country were moved by Barron's simple but profound act of generosity. Many praised him for his humility and genuine kindness, noting that despite growing up in a wealthy and powerful family, he had not lost touch with the value of hard work and appreciation for those who often go unnoticed. Even those who had never paid much attention to Barron before started to see him in a new light, not just as the son of a former president, but as a young man with a heart of gold. As for Mr. Rodriguez, his life changed in more ways than one. No longer did he have to worry about his unreliable car breaking down. Every morning, as he drove to work in his new SUV, he carried with him a renewed sense of purpose, knowing that his years of dedication had not gone unnoticed. In a world often filled with negative headlines and division, this story served as a beautiful reminder that acts of kindness, no matter how big or small, have the power to touch lives, inspire others, and bring people together. And in the end, that's what truly matters. As the story of Barron Trump's heartfelt gesture continued to spread, people from all walks of life found themselves deeply moved by the young man's kindness. Messages of admiration poured in from across the country, with many people sharing their own experiences of how janitors, custodians, and other unsung heroes had impacted their lives. Social media platforms were flooded with comments praising Barron's selfless act. Some users admitted that they had never paid much attention to him before, but after witnessing this moment, they saw him in a completely new light. Others expressed how the story inspired them to show more appreciation for the hardworking individuals in their own communities. "I never thought I'd see a story like this in today's world," one person tweeted. "Barron Trump just showed us what true generosity looks like. It's not about wealth, it's about heart." Even public figures and celebrities took notice, applauding Barron for his thoughtful gesture. Some noted that his actions spoke volumes about the values he held, proving that kindness and gratitude transcend social and economic status. Meanwhile, at Barron's school, the atmosphere had shifted in a profound way. Students who had once passed by Mr. Rodriguez without a second thought now made it a point to acknowledge him. More students greeted him in the hallways. Teachers encouraged their classes to be more mindful of the staff that kept the school running, and even parents started reaching out with their own words of thanks. It wasn't long before news outlets wanted to hear directly from Mr. Rodriguez about how this gift had changed his life. When he was finally interviewed, his emotions were still raw. "I've worked here for more than 20 years and I've never expected anything in return. I do this job because I love it, because I care about the students in the school. But what Barron did, it's something I'll never forget. He didn't have to do this. He didn't have to notice me. But he did, and that means everything." The impact of Barron's gesture didn't stop there. Inspired by his act of generosity, others began paying it forward in their own ways. Some students started a fundraiser to provide small bonuses for the school's janitorial staff during the holidays. Parents of students contributed by donating supplies, ensuring that those working behind the scenes had the tools they needed to do their jobs with ease. A movement of gratitude was born, all from a single act of kindness. But what did Barron himself think of all the attention? Those close to him said he remained as humble as ever. He never sought recognition for his gesture. He only wanted to make life a little easier for someone who had spent decades helping others. When asked about it, Barron simply shrugged and said, "I just thought he deserved it." That simple response spoke volumes. In a world where headlines are often dominated by controversy, conflict, and negativity, this story stood out as a beacon of hope. It reminded people that sometimes the smallest acts of kindness can make the biggest difference. And in this case, a young man with immense privilege used it not for personal gain, but to uplift someone who had spent his life giving to others. The days went on. Mr. Rodriguez continued his work with the same dedication as always, but this time with a little extra joy in his step. And every morning, as he pulled into the school parking lot in his brand new SUV, he was reminded that hard work, kindness, and humility never go unnoticed. Barron Trump's gesture was more than just a gift. It was a message that No matter who we are, where we come from, or how much we have, the power to change someone's life is always within our reach. As weeks passed, the story of Barron Trump's generosity continued to ripple far beyond the walls of his high school. News outlets covered the event in detail, and it even became a topic of discussion on television talk shows. People from all political backgrounds found themselves setting aside differences to appreciate the rare moment of pure kindness and goodwill. One particular moment that stood out was when a former student of the school, now in his 30s, reached out after hearing about what had happened. He shared his own experience of how Mr. Rodriguez had once helped him during a difficult time. I remember being a freshman, struggling with my home life. Mr. Rodriguez noticed I was having a rough time and always made sure to check on me. He'd say, "You're stronger than you think, kid." I never forgot that. Seeing Barron do this for him, it brings tears to my eyes. He deserves every bit of it. This testimony was just one of many. Students, both past and present, came forward with similar stories of how Mr. Rodriguez had been more than just a janitor. He had been a mentor, a friend, and a steady presence in their lives. What made Barron's gesture even more special was the fact that he had never sought to make it a public spectacle. There were no cameras rolling when he handed over the keys, no press releases, no staged photo ops, just a young man doing something out of the goodness of his heart. However, the story naturally gained traction, and soon enough, people across the country wanted to contribute in their own way. A local car dealership, inspired by Barron's act, decided to launch a campaign where they would donate vehicles to other hard-working school custodians in need. Barron Trump reminded us of something important, the dealership's owner said in an interview. "There are people in our communities who give so much and ask for so little. It's time we show them how much they're appreciated." The dealership's initiative sparked a chain reaction. Across the country, similar efforts were started by various organizations, all aiming to honor janitors, cafeteria workers, bus drivers, and other essential school staff. What had begun as one young man's simple act of gratitude had evolved into a nationwide movement of appreciation. But perhaps the most touching moment came when Mr. Rodriguez's family spoke out. His daughter, who had grown up watching her father work tirelessly to provide for their family, shared her emotions in a heartfelt message. "My father has always been the most selfless person I know. He wakes up early, stays late, and never complains. He's done everything for us, and we've always wished we could do something big for him in return. Seeing Barron recognize him in this way means more to our family than we can ever express. Thank you, Barron, for showing the world the kind of man my father is." Barron himself remained largely quiet amid the overwhelming attention. He was never one to seek the spotlight, and those who knew him best said that he wasn't interested in making headlines. He was just happy that Mr. Rodriguez was taken care of. His parents, however, couldn't have been prouder. While Trump has always been a figure of strong opinions and public scrutiny, even his critics had to admit that Barron's actions reflected strong values of kindness and respect. Melania Trump, known for fiercely protecting her son's privacy, reportedly teared up when she heard about what he had done, feeling immense pride in the young man he was becoming. As time went on, the story became less about Barron himself and more about the lesson it left behind. It was a reminder to appreciate those who often go unnoticed. The janitors, the cafeteria workers, the security guards, the bus drivers, those who dedicate their time and effort to making life better for others without ever expecting recognition. The message resonated deeply, especially with young people. Schools across the nation started initiatives where students wrote thank you letters to custodial staff. Some schools even organized small fundraising efforts to provide bonuses or gifts for the people who worked behind the scenes. Mr. Rodriguez, once a man who quietly did his job in the background, became a symbol of the hard-working, everyday heroes in our communities. And though he remained humble about the whole situation, there was no denying that his life had changed for the better.